All right, I'm ready to get this meeting started. Regular council meeting of what is this, Monday, June 6th. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Laughlin,
Here.
Councilperson Sexton,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Dean,
Here.
Goodweiler,
Here.
Stillman.
Here. Someone give me a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move.
Do it right this time. Mitchell, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the consent agenda consists of the minutes of the May 16th regular council meeting, a Class C beer, Class B native wine, and Sunday sales for Parkside Petroleum. Cigarette permit renewals for most places that sell cigarettes. Accept the approval of Zachary Howell as a firefighter paramedic with the West Branch Volunteer Fire Department. The claims of June 6, 2022, and the monthly financial review report of April. Motion, please. I have one question on the claims, and that is impact 7G of $20,000. Is that a, do we have a contract with them for that?
I can answer that. Yes, we have a contract with them because they wrote the SRF sponsored Wapsie Creek project. Right now, we're paying for it, but once we get to the right steps, then it's reimbursable by the grant. That's 600, 700,000 we got.
Got it.
I have a question.
That's my question. Go ahead.
Chief Hannah, have we had any violations of beer and liquor from these establishments?
Not that I'm aware of. Our agency does, that's checked by the Iowa State Patrol.
So you haven't had any issues with cigarettes either?
Not that I'm aware of.
BAG would email or send us a notice to prosecute if we had one.
Okay, hearing anything else? Let's go ahead and vote then.
Councilperson Miller,
Yes.
Sexton,
Yes.
Stillman,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Goodweiler.
Yes.
Start out tonight with a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement for the new sewer. Is anyone here or online here to speak on this proposed loan agreement? Did we receive any comments otherwise through the mail or anything? That's a no.
Anything, Leslie?
Hearing none. Close the public hearing. And move on to resolution 22-62. Authorizing and approving a loan and disbursement agreement and providing for the issuance and securing of the payment of $10,203,000 in sewer revenue bonds, series 2022. Need a motion, please. Nick? Second. What's that?
Nick was first.
Somebody's.
Counted me first.
Tom. Okay, this is the longest resolution I've ever seen.
Attorneys do get paid by the word, so you know.
Are you serious?
I'm kidding. While we're at it.
Questions about it? We have to set up a sinking fund apparently.
Project I've ever approved.
Pardon?
So it officially becomes the biggest project I've ever.
Okay, I'm hearing no comments, so let's go ahead and vote on authorizing approval of the loan, resolution 22-62.
Councilperson Dean.
Yes.
Goodweiler?
Yeah.
Miller?
Yes.
Stulman?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
So correspondingly, we have a second reading of ordinance 793, amending chapter 99 sewer service charges. Motion, please. Second, anyone?
I will begrudgingly.
That's a second. So the only thing changed from last time is we added a 2% inflation beginning after 2023, what we see in red here. Otherwise, it's the same as before. This is third reading. No, second reading, I'm sorry, second reading. So any other comments? We have to keep up, we have to pay for the thing. Yeah.
And the only way we can pay for it is through revenue.
Sewer fees, yep,
So
revenue.
I was looking at this payment schedule though.
It's pretty big there after a while.
It gets way big at the end. We really think we're gonna grow that much, that we're gonna go from $285,000 worth of revenue in 2023 to by 2042, it's gonna be 629. We're gonna triple. It was 1.75.
Interest doesn't change, does it?
Didn't look like it.
So it's pretty,
2042.
No, it's pretty much at 640.
it's just the interest, pay more principal later, and you pay, like the last couple of years of interest is like $6,000.
Oh, that's
So what
the
happens is the
principal.
principal,
Oh,
kind
I get it, I get it.
of like a mortgage loan where your interest goes down and your principal payments go up.
Yeah.
So that's better than.
It's pretty constant after starting in 2024. According to the schedule in the 50-page resolution.
Yeah, I just looked at that one, studied that one also.
That's one of them.
Okay. This is our second reading of the sewer rate increase. So let's go ahead and vote, Leslie.
Councilperson Sexton?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Stulman?
No.
Miller?
Yes.
Goodweiler?
Yes.
Okay, first reading of an ordinance 794, amending chapter 69 parking regulations. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so this makes Cedar Johnson Road no parking. The whole thing, right? Yeah, the whole thing. Except south.
It's just a level.
I'm assuming we've had issues? Or just trying to avoid?
We're trying to avoid issues.
Yeah, so
I'm good with it either way. It's just
the
curious.
theory was until the road is improved, it's not suitable to have parking, so.
I was just
I get a
hoping
motion.
that nothing had happened. I hadn't heard anything.
Anybody, anything else on the no parking on Cedar Johnson?
Does that mean for utility work also?
Don't think so.
I think that counts as parking.
Yeah, that would,
They're working.
they'd have to put,
Yeah, they
Yeah,
put
siren.
right on over the top of the hill.
they're supposed to be putting traffic control out beforehand too, so that you know somebody's coming, so. They just obviously put it correctly.
So there's a few times I've seen signs that that's there.
They're
And I
out.
drive by and
They're
they're
out
not
more
there.
than they used to be.
Well, they're in about 4 feet of weeds.
And I've called the, I guess, the builder of the properties. They said they were gonna talk to him, but as you drive by, I haven't seen any correct
This is
action.
probably been a few weeks ago.
There's still vehicles parked out there, so. So I've been notified, the builder.
Okay, what is this, first reading?
Is there anything we can?
So pass this, when you write them a ticket.
Two things, I guess I'll interject. I guess I know how this city used to be growing up. I'd like council support if our officers monitor the speed limits on that road more than normal.
As long as you let us know when you.
I don't go that way anymore.
I do.
It's
I
like-
guess. I'd like your blessing on that. And then two, I know there's a standard here that we never waive reading 2 and 3, but in my opinion, for safety, I would recommend waiving ordinance readings 2 and 3.
We don't usually do more than 2 at a time. We would do this one tonight, and 2 and 3 tomorrow. Next week.
So, truth be told, though, no parking on that street only affects only one person lives on that street.
And construction. work.
They don't live here, they're not residents, we don't have to represent them.
And the homeowners that are gonna move into those places because they're also.
But they're not here either.
Exactly.
They're not gonna be here by the time our third reading is, so it
Yeah, I
doesn't.
know, and that's what I'm saying. You've got a parking lot or you've got a driveway that's got 2 parking stalls in the street. They have somebody over. They're not gonna be allowed to park in the street now.
No, they weren't gonna be able to anyway.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Down around the corner and.
Yep.
They're parking in the 8.
Good. You gonna put a fence up so they can't do that?
He's putting a parking meter up.
Gravel that driveway all the way in, right? Big parking lot.
Sit out there all along.
There's 2 people.
$10, $10 parking.
On the east side and one on the west side.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Let's be ready to vote. Yeah, let's go ahead and vote.
Councilperson Dean,
Yes.
Goodweiler?
Yeah.
Sexton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Stulman.
Yes.
I have one final thought
Go ahead.
on increased enforcement. Corey, you said that you're gonna see if the mobile radar thing worked.
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to do that yet.
I would prefer that, or just to slow people down, and then if they don't get the message, go ahead and increase enforcement.
We'll get her done.
I don't want to be paying a speeding ticket.
How long has it been since you got a speeding ticket?
40 years.
Yeah, well, there you
Wow.
go.
It's not that I ain't been trying.
Within the last week.
All right, first reading of ordinance 795, creating a new chapter, and I think it's chapter 29. West Branch Tree Commission. Is
28,
that a motion?
chapter 28.
Yeah, but the actual chapter is 29.
It's 28. It's my error.
Which one should it be?
It's 28.
It is 20.
I wasn't sure. So one said money.
Chapter
One said
28
the other.
then, do I have a motion to approve chapter
Motion.
28?
I put it in there.
Motion. That's a second.
I'm sorry, what was?
Nick and
Dean?
How does commission be informed?
Is this an advisory commission to council or to P and C? Didn't quite-
So
didn't quite
I,
figure that out.
correct. I think the best way to see it, it would be advisory to council. They can provide recommendations to planning and zoning. The only thing I'd like them to have any managerial authority would be right away trees, because a lot of times you'll run into issues where somebody thinks a tree is dying and it's really not. And they're hounding Matt to take it down, or it's actually a dying tree and they don't want it down. And so I don't know. My experience is, again, it's a different town, but that was something that would always come up and want to be appealed. And so it would be nice to have an appeal process in those not going straight to council. And I don't know, Matt, if you've been able to low key push those down, but
I mean, we've had some issues with those sorts of situations. Some of it came up just because we have some people interested in getting involved with the right of way trees, and that's, I guess, how we have to do it, is have a commission here so they can be involved with the decisions of kind of what we plant, where we plant them, and help take care of some of those. So it's not just on the city to always take care of them.
Yeah, so this tree commission, would they be in charge of maintenance on them until they got established?
Yeah, and I think some of it would be those, so how we had talked about doing the smaller trees that they were wanting to give out to homeowner, whatever, sell them to homeowners and that sort of stuff. They'd be involved with all that and help write the grants and do some of that. So it'd take some of that off us and make it possible to keep doing those things still.
Back to that group that's, are those trees that are gonna be, are being planned to put in the right of way or in their property? Once it's on their property, it should be their responsibility.
Yeah, some of both. The ones that be on the property or on the homeowner. The guys that are involved with this or want to be involved with this want to be able to assist them to make sure that we're not helping them get a tree and they plant it and it just dies because they
Right.
don't know how to plant it. So they'd be kind of advisory for homeowners as well. So.
By state law, the city's required to maintain right of way tree. I mean, the trees are in the right of way are the city's responsibility. We can make somebody take a tree down in their own yard and assess it back to them, but if it's in the right of way, we cannot do that.
We don't have to mow it, but we gotta take care of the trees.
The tree, if we have to take a tree down, that's the city's responsibility, not the homeowners. So you don't want to put trees in that are going to cause problems in the right of way.
Okay, I think it's a good idea. And yep, there's at least 4.
Yeah,
Well,
we got 3 or 4 that are interested.
Can't think of a 5th.
Some in the past contacted me
Okay.
that I'll call.
I wanted to see how council thought of the ordinance too, but we'll need to try and hit gender balance too, so. I
Who's our
probably,
city forester?
it would be the Public Works Director or his designee. As we're talking about merit pay, if there's somebody that takes over that role, it's something to consider too.
Any other comments? I did learn a new word, arboriculture. Who didn't say it right? Let's vote, Leslie.
Councilperson Goodweiler?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
Stulman?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2256, adopting certification requirements and certification of Senate pay. Motion, please. Nick? Is this any different than what we kind of had before?
We did not have it for clerks, finance director, or parks and rec director, and it was not required for public works. If they're public works, Nat and I discussed grade 1, that's all you need to operate. But if they are a water lead, they would need to be grade 2 would be required. That would be what the difference is. We are expecting standards to be hit as well.
So Tim's grade 2.
He's 3.
Yes. Yes.
So we
How
have,
many grade 2s do we need?
Should have 2 grade 2s. but they're up top rate plates. That's why we just one grade ones from the other ones, it basically kind of gets the ball rolling. They got their grade ones, and if something happens and we have to get that spear replaced for some reason, I do, whatever, you have somebody that can step into it fairly quickly, instead of going through the whole process.
I don't understand why we have a grade 3 when we don't have any facilities for a grade 3. We're paying somebody for something we don't even have. So virtually, if somebody wanted to leave our city, they're getting paid a better wage to go to somewhere else.
Was he grandfathered in, man?
I mean, no, he went and got his grade 3s for water. And that was just something he chose to do to stick on a little more and learn a little more about what it does as a professional. That's why we didn't make grade 2s or 3s a requirement. Because it does, if you put them all in grade 2s, that'll and force them to, you're not gonna be able to pay them all to stay here. So you don't want, I mean, I don't think you necessarily wanna
No.
make them get grade 2s. It's just if they don't have grade 1s and me and Tim go to a training, we both die, you basically are, you're waiting for somebody to be able to get that, or you're hiring somebody else. Yeah. And you're kind of under the gun at that point from the DNR and everywhere.
From a personal standpoint, I don't know why you would not want to improve yourself. I'm not gonna knock somebody down because they want to get a grade 3.
So we would be paying somebody a grade 3 wage for a facility we don't even have the facilities in our community for that grade 3.
Right,
So
but
virtually, we are paying for somebody to get a better education so that they can go to another place and get another higher paid job under our pay scale, because we paid them to get that.
We do that all the time, Jerry.
Pay for them to get the grade 3 training? Yeah. Or is that?
That would be negotiable. The ones that we would pay for are grade 1, we would help them because it's a requirement.
So they'd have to pay for themselves to get.
I mean, right now, the city pays for the training, the testing. The city pays for everything to get those grades. So, I mean, if that's something that you guys want to change and work on some other way, I guess, that at the moment, that's how it works. That's what most communities. That's
We
how it
send a
works.
police officer to get certified.
Yeah, but they're actually
Right.
using that to do something here. I get Jerry's point about paying them to get a grade 3 when we don't have anything where we need it. But at the same time, if they want to take it upon themselves to get it, I would have no problem giving them an extra $1 an hour, because if they do that, what's the point of them
But what's-
staying here?
To me, what's the benefit for the grade 3 that we don't have anything in our community for a grade 3 wage?
That's what I
better
said.
themselves.
As I said, it's a double-edged sword, because either they go get a grade 3 on their own, and I don't necessarily agree that we need to pay for them to go get that
We don't
training.
need one grade 3 on the job.
We don't need any.
We don't need 3, I know, but
I'm just saying,
we got
that's
one.
why Matt said we typically pay for them to do that. I would say that I don't necessarily believe we need to pay them to get a grade 3, because we have nothing that does it. But if they want to pay for it and get it, I would have no issue giving them an extra $1, because otherwise they're gonna get it and just leave.
Matt,
That's why I
what
said it's a double-edged sword.
triggers grade 3? Because is it town of 3,000 or is it an actual wastewater treatment?
No, like, it depends on treatment. It depends on daily flows. So that's all gonna, I mean, it'd be a significant amount of time before that's gonna happen. Tim actually is not grade 3 in wastewater. He's water treatment and distribution. It'd be a significant jump before a grade 3 would be necessary. But yeah, like Jody said, I just have a hard time saying somebody shouldn't be able to better themselves and that we shouldn't push our employees to better themselves. I see what you're saying completely though about the city pays for them to better themselves and then they go somewhere else. I get that completely, but that's kind of why we're not gonna push the grade 2s on everybody, like I said, because I mean, And the grade three is the same thing. Grade threes, you have to be, I barely have enough experience to get grade threes right now. So I've been an operator for 11 years. I might have enough CUs and enough experience to get grade threes right now. I have no desire to. You have to go to more classes and it's just, I don't need it for what I do, so.
What's it cost for the testing and stuff? like that?
It's $400 to take a class and then $60 per test. Another, I think it's $60 for the certification. So it's not like it's, I mean, if you took grade threes or grade, say you went from grade ones to grade twos, you're spending $1,200 for the 3 classes. And then, 120.
Then your continuing education stuff. you have
Continuing
to do.
education.
You have to do that regardless.
Yeah, no matter what.
whether
So if you
want
go to grade threes, you have to get more CUs, but it's not like double, it's another 50% more, something like that.
Maintain like grade one, what, 12? CUs a year or something?
10.
Or is it 10?
Yeah. So we have to get 30, which is actually 20 because water is, you can share those across water.
And
I don't-
We're,
I
we're
don't-
already doing grade 3, correct?
For,
Certifications. Okay,
right,
so if council says no, they're essentially taking pay from employees.
yes. I mean, Tim's the only one that's grade 3. I have grade 2s.
I mean, I guess I understand where you're coming from, Jerry. I think the price wise, it's kind of nitpicky. And on the flip side of that, the guy that's in control of our drinking water, I want him as smart as possible, not minimally smart. No smarter than he has to be. You know, if he wants to be smarter than he has to be, that would be what I'd want.
I mean, if, say Tim wanted to move on to a bigger community, he's already at a grade 2, he'd go to Cedar Rapids and make more than what he makes as a grade 3 here. I mean, just a grade 2 is gonna make him more than a grade 3 here. So it's, once you get any of them, once you get a grade 1, even Cedar Rapids, everybody will start sending you notices saying, we have a job opening, come and apply. So, and there's a shortage of operators, so it happens. I mean, people move around and do that. Mhm.
You can go on and check right now if you wanted to, and you can see the pool, all the grade 1 operators in the whole state.
So,
Okay.
so this is to add to their pay. This currently-
25 cents, correct, to get them in line with the market. The ones that are completely not on the rolls right now are clerks in Parks and Rec. Those are, we don't have any policy on them at all.
So is Tim at a grade 3? Is he already getting that $1 per
We're
hour?
getting 75 cents, not,
He's already getting.
Correct.
75 cents.
but as we found, it's the certifications that are the most attractive in those positions.
What we gotta do to keep up.
Well, I guess my only question would be, just because it's not here, and I know we've mentioned that, like Tim's already got the 75 cents. Are we looking at- As far as the city clerks and Parks and Rec go, are we adding this or are they already there?
I guess re-ask, are you talking,
So
Same question.
if Leslie makes $25 an hour,
you
is this, I know she's probably got a couple of these, if not all of the city clerks, are we adding $1.25 to her?
correct,
25,
that's,
Or she already have that
that's it, she
$1.25
does
in
not
her
have
25?
anything. And
That's
we're
what I was-
adding it in this resolution. So everyone with a star on that resolution is affected by this. By
I was
this
just making
policy. And then we just, yep.
Kathy wants to speak.
Was this not part of our wage survey?
Correct.
And did we not say that we wanted our employees to grow?
Correct.
Kathy, did you have something to say? No.
You need to unmute her.
Yeah, somebody needs to.
Nick back?
I didn't know she was asking.
Or if you just have the cursor.
Hey, might just have the cursor.
Cursor over there.
All right, never mind.
No, I'm good with it. I was just bringing it up as so everybody understood.
So to clarify, some of these are getting added plus the 4% coming up.
4% first, and then it's
And this on top of that.
correct. Correct.
For people who have the
Certification.
certifications.
Bolton always says, how do we pay for it?
Well, I'll be the one that says we didn't want to do this research and find out we were underpaid if we weren't gonna be able to do anything about it. Everybody said we wanted to do it, so kind of committed now because there was no sense in pointing out how much we were underpaying everybody.
And then say we don't care.
If we weren't gonna do anything about it.
In terms of answering how to pay, water is actually making money. So to pull a couple dollars here and there from water is fine. And we're doing pretty well on the building permit aspect. So as we wait for new revenue to come in, especially with how much, say, for example, our city clerk does for building permits, it makes sense to use that. We're at a 80,000 surplus with that currently. And so once we subtract those wages, we'll kind of use that surplus for future new growth, whether that's turn lane or whatnot. We'll have to create a separate line item. So in terms of those, I'm comfortable with, but going any further than that, I'm not, which is why I have it set up this way.
And I only have one other question. As far as the certifications go, for like the clerk and the finance director and the Parks and Rec director, I mean, they all sound good that they should have them, but I know we put the stipulation that they have to get it within 4 years. I'm assuming that these certifications are fairly standard across the industry. We're not requiring like our Parks and Rec director to get this certification, and only like 10% of them in the state of Iowa have it. And that, you know, I'm asking.
Correct.
Assuming these are fairly standard.
Correct. Standard for clerks, standard for Park and Rec. More than half in our communities had certified Park and Rec directors. So it's a growing competitive market.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't asking like our directors to get something only like 5% of the people have, and then we never get anybody if Leslie were to leave or.
And with clerks, it technically takes 3 years, but you could have a family emergency or whatever. So I added, the extra year on top of it. So there's wiggle room to get it. So if they don't get it, there could be a reason. There shouldn't be a reason why with an extra year on top of it.
I would assume that if they didn't get it in 4 years, we'd be looking at termination. So with that's why I was making sure we weren't holding people to a standard that wasn't expected. and Fire
Correct.
them over it.
And so the ones where there's a testing requirement, that's why there's 25 cents more. Clerks, it's not a test, it's just continuation of school and classes. You have to continue to do the credits versus like your National Park and Rec, you literally have to take a test on facilities, operations, programming. So there's study materials that are required on those ones. So that's the differential between the.
That Park and Rec, that probably doesn't include the food certification, does it?
No, but there's questions on food service, I believe, if I recall.
Okay.
I thought that our water, I thought when we hired Public Works, I thought it was within 24 months that they got their water one.
We have it on 30. I think it's 36. We had it at a year
Oh,
at one point. We switched it. It's possible to get it within a year, but that means you gotta take the time to do it. So we switched to 36 months.
Okay, any other comments? Let's vote then on 2256 certification incentive pay.
Councilperson Goodweiler?
Yes.
Stulman?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
All right, 22-57, hiring a temporary part-time public works employee for mowing.
So moved.
Second.
Sweet. Any discussion?
Matt, you got money in the budget for this?
Go ahead, Leslie.
Councilperson Miller?
Yes.
Goodweiler?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Stulman?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
I thought we did away with this position in the budget.
We got rid of one. So normally we have 2 or 3. We can only hire 1. So we did get rid of
Alright,
1 for this year.
alright.
Okay, 2258, setting salaries, resolution 2258. For appointed officials and employees. City, motion please. This is for fiscal year 23, the next fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
We need to insert under city administrator for Adam Kofod, the number $98,800. I'll do that after. the motion. Yeah. Yeah. Our budgeted salary. Correct?
Correct.
Next fiscal year. Any comments, anyone? Go ahead, Leslie.
Councilperson Miller?
Yes.
Goodweiler?
Yes.
Stulman?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
All right, 22-59, approving the site plan for Lot 1, Parkside Hills, second edition. Motion please.
So moved. Second.
It's got approved by P and Z, I'm sure it did. That's fine, yes. This is behind the current construction.
I have a question. On number 19, it says stormwater management plan. So I've been driving through there and I don't see any erosion socks anywhere on the construction sites that are being built on right now. Some of them have even been removed from the intakes on storm sewer, on the storm sewers in the street that are really close to where this building's going on. I understand you're the developer, that's not your responsibility to police that. But I think somehow as a city, we're dropping the ball on this pretty bad. And what they do in other cities, there ain't nothing there, dude. There's ain't a sock one nowhere.
They have silk fence up. I mean, they should have them around all those buildings are built on. I called them and they came out and put them up.
Since this weekend,
No, they put them up like 4 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks ago, they put up silk fence around all the ones they had.
I didn't see any this weekend. I saw no silk fence, I saw no
You
socks.
mean of what's under construction now?
They should
Yeah.
have silk fence out in the middle of the grass that was put in originally when they did the grading.
Yeah, back behind the building.
Yeah, but then they came in and they put in new silk fences around, so Brian Chase built those. Called him, he came in, they put silk fence around those buildings. So unless they came back in when they're working and knock them down, they had brand new silk fence in, and about 3 weeks ago that I called it. And that's put on.
There was nothing Sunday.
So to go to that point, the city would need to start to implement a SWIP plan. You need a stormwater pollution prevention plan. This town is a little too small yet. Typically, they're not implemented. Tiffin actually didn't even have one implemented until 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, they didn't get big enough until recently.
Yes. And so that's the thing you have to consider that goes with it. We are underneath, I am as a developer under a DNR plan because I've disturbed more than an acre. And so I follow along with that. And yes, I of course tell them not to get mud all over the street and stuff like that. And you can see the green ones, we've been putting them out and replacing stuff because Alliant did some goofy thing with their putting their electrical lines 3 foot behind the curb, which again was something I discussed with Adam, which I don't know why. I've never seen that before, but yeah, I mean, it comes with the lawn mowing or the grass mowing email that we got too, because we've had this discussion in other cities. A SUDAS plan, when put together, and a SWIP plan and an NPDS, they're all separates at different levels. And so if we're going to jump into NPDS and stormwater pollution prevention plans, we need to have a structure that follows with that SUDAS, what SUDAS says to do this. But I don't know at what point you're going to engage that. And like I said, it took Tiffin, I think we have to be to 5,500 people in a city, I believe is where that kicks in. And so to go with that, that's kind of one of those things that if a city doesn't do it, I don't know how they regulate. And so I understand what you're saying and that stuff, but
So like you go over D.R. Hortons and everything's got socks and it all looks good. They don't have to do that.
No.
They're just doing it out of kindness
Yep.
of their hearts.
yes, absolutely.
People can file DNR complaints and it's up to the DNR how they want to phrase things.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the DNR can handcuff somebody and or give them a fine.
They
I'm
just
not-
have the MPDS permit.
Yeah, they'll come to me as the developer of the NPDS permit and they'll start barking at me. But if it's more than an acre disturbed, which typical single sites are not more than an acre disturbed. So that's, and we're fine with the plan. I mean, I get it. I just want to make sure it's structured correctly because I just ran into this with the city of Iowa City on grass. So Impact 7G, which is doing work for you, I know Judy from when they were had a beautiful landscape. And with that grass mowing comes that typical development grasses need to stay at 18 to 24 inches. That's what they're meant to do. That's why I'm planting special grass. And I actually am going through this with the city of Iowa City, and I have a meeting with them this week on this, where they're telling us to mow it down 10 inches or below. That defeats the purpose of the development grasses that we plant because their root structure doesn't stay long enough to actually help the soil stay in place and wash. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes along with this that before we jump into too much stormwater pollution prevention and NPDS that we need to have the city do. So I've dealt with it a ton the last 10 years and it's, yeah.
It gets into storm sewers and gets into the detention basin. It's that,
That's on the developer.
I know. Is that?
Sure.
Is that adverse?
Is that part of his NPDS?
It's part of my DNR.
Is it overdug to account for that? Do you think? Or-
You're going to get a little bit, but that silting that goes in goes out also. I mean, you're going to have silting. There's no matter what you do, you can't stop it. You can't control it. And that's why we leave the grasses a little longer. We're getting to the point now, they're getting a little long. We'll probably mow them down, but as far as the rest of development goes, but yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things that, I mean, perfection in NPDS and SWIP is pretty much impossible. So, yeah, and we do that stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty complicated. So, I mean, there's a lot that comes with it and a lot of management that comes with it. So, but no, I of course tell them because I told my guys to go out and replace all the green after we put the electrical in because they may tear out all my silt fence because it was where they needed to put electrical lines. Yeah. So, yeah,
What
because
Hiawatha does is you get a footing inspection. If all that stuff ain't done, they just says, call us when it's done
Yeah.
and we'll come inspect your footings.
yeah, and we do full SWIP plans in other cities. And so basically before we even start digging the hole, we have to set our stormwater pollution prevention plan in place, socks, silt fence, whatever, our washouts for our concrete, stuff like that. So yeah, we do all that stuff, and I encourage the people that are on my sites to do it, but I can't go around barking at them because they know better. You know, they know where they're at and they know what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of up to the city and what you want to do with it. But no, I wanted to bring up the grass thing too, as that got sent across to make sure that we don't have a lot of complaints about development grasses. They're supposed to be that tall to make it work. Right?
Correct.
So,
Correct. No,
Yep.
you're right. So-
Okay, back to the task at hand of Lot 1 Parkside Hills. Any
other questions?
other questions?
I did have one question. I don't see anywhere lighting for the parking. There's no lighting for the parking at all.
There will be, but he didn't do a photo of it or
I'm
I
pretty
see,
sure
I see
that's
that the
required.
ledger has it on there, but I don't see any markings on the plan for
did he
where
number?
they're at.
He didn't number them at all.
Is there another sheet for like a
Maybe.
photometric?
I was looking for the symbol.
gonna
not
say.
for the-
Did they, because that wasn't, that's actually not even in our checklist, is it?
I thought it was.
Was it in the checklist?
A symbol for them and they'll.
Sun symbol with lighting of the property.
Number 12, location.
Location type existing proposed signs, existing or proposed lighting on the property. Okay. And he should have,
Says it's here.
yeah. Because Ron would have prepared it.
Dave.
I don't see any anywhere.
I didn't see the symbol, but.
Okay. Yeah, it'll have to have, it'll have to have lights. So might have just been something that was overlooked.
So. This guy needs light.
Dave's on the call too. Dave, I'm pretty sure they had photometrics.
Yeah, I'm searching to see if I can find the sheet for that, Adam.
Something that is not unmuted.
You're muted, Dave.
Hello?
Dave,
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
He's talking.
we can't hear you, Dave. Give us a second here.
Now he's muted again.
Okay, try again, Dave.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey, how about that? I'm looking through the emails. I seem to recall that we had this discussion with them and they had provided photometrics, but it doesn't look like it got included in this version of the site plan that's on the agenda.
Yeah, it's definitely somewhere. It's gonna have to do. So, he probably has it already. We just don't have it in the file.
Subject to some.
Assuming these dumpsters are rollouts.
Yeah, just your typical small. Mhm.
Is that dumpster enclosure or concrete block or? what is
Yeah.
it?
Concrete block. We've got two of them for the building, one on the south side and then one up there in that corner in the north side.
Anybody, anything else?
And there's a bike rack on the north side too.
No.
Was gonna ask.
Good job. Right, Kevin asked about card charge.
Sure, if the city wants to pay for those, great.
Way long enough.
Those are expensive.
They are. We figured that out. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, mailbox?
Yeah, cluster down here on the side.
Anybody, anything else? Let's keep moving. then.
Yeah, and then just, I was just gonna, the parking lot design is there. I don't know if you guys remember going over this for parking requirements, but the parking lot design is there. You've got those two longer roads that come off of that side of it. That's made so that if we do end up with more retail in there, that we can stretch that parking lot out at, I think, 22 or 24 more spaces. So,
Okay, so we can approve this pending, lighting, photometrics, which would be up to Dave.
Correct. Water run out. in the buildings. Sure
I'm trusting my engineers.
Well, I was just asking.
Okay. Any-
Roger, was it discussed that we would need to have a variance if we were to put in something that would require over the 89 parking stalls? I know Chad mentioned that the parking was held a little bit short intentionally, but we may want to just cover that formally.
So this includes the variance, which was requested in the checklist also. When you approve this.
How short is it?
what do you mean, how short is it?
It's not short.
Not short.
It depends on the usage of it, depends on how much we end up with, if that's actual retail or restaurant. And so we've had computation in there that we can add those back in if we need to.
This is under plan unit development zone, so it doesn't need to go to Board of Adjustment. It gives you guys in planning and zoning that authority.
It's an office instead of a restaurant.
Yeah, if we need more density, I think it's 20, I thought it was 24 spaces, I think, is what we can add, 22 or 24 more spaces that we can, literally don't even have to tear the street out. You just come in and pour on each side of it and just, yep, just add it in and it comes down. So
Okay,
Orientation always gets me.
so we got a motion and a second to approve pending lighting for photometrics. If there's no other comments, let's go ahead and vote, Leslie.
Councilperson Miller,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Stulman,
Yes.
Sexton,
Yes.
Goodweiler.
Yes.
Right, thank you, Chad. Resolution 2261, approving the subdividers.
I got 60. J first.
Approving 2260, approving the revised site plan for Progressive Rehab Associates at Dawson Plaza, Lot 1 of the Meadows, Part 4A. Motion, please.
So move. Second.
Same thing, smaller version, what they had before. Lots. Assume that driveway is in far enough back, I guess it's, can't get any farther back from the corner of Main and Dawson, I guess. That's acceptable, Dave?
Yes, they have it back as far as they can get that, as you mentioned, for that lot. And if you go from the edge of the street back, that's roughly 100 feet, which is what SUDAS wants to see from the intersection, from the edge of the paved travel way.
What are we doing with the sidewalk along Main Street?
Yeah.
How much you giving us? It's what? Oh, it's not yours.
Yeah, he doesn't own it anymore.
Oh,
Yeah,
So what are you doing about it? A lot of squat.
Got no, we have no sidewalk to nowhere.
to the east.
Do we need a sidewalk to nowhere?
I thought we discussed this, that they.
I thought we discussed this on the corner of Cedar Johnson.
Didn't we say they'd put the money into an escrow and if it ever extends?
That's right.
Just like we did on the housing development.
You know, though, really, I mean, I understand doing that, but there should be some sort of a timeline. In 10 years, if it's still not needed, then too bad, city, I get to keep my money. You don't get to keep it in perpetually if you were not going to do anything.
In reality, with Huey Monter's Hill, I don't know how you would ever do a sidewalk coming to town.
You can't not disagree with what I said.
Chad's got something to say.
So this discussion was had at P and Z. The elevation and the grading on that lot, along with everything all the way up to Cedar Johnson, doesn't work. The city's still looking for a turn lane, which is pretty important at this point as to figuring out how you're gonna get that done along there. The roundabout is coming. It's gonna be there too. So the discussion at P and Z the last time was, why have a sidewalk along this? And the reason that have a vested interest in this is because I do have an offer on the Meadows. So I'm going to be dealing with the city very shortly on what I'm going to be doing with the sidewalk along that corner piece on Cedar and Main, or Cedar Johnson and Main. And I've already had an engineer look at it. We're gonna struggle to get a sidewalk in because of that elevation. The city can't go south with, from what I understand, the city's gonna have a tough time going south with the turn lane because of the floodplain and the sidewalk that's already there on the path. So if we pull everything from the roundabout down to the south side and put it on the path, and negate that sidewalk that goes to nowhere, because it literally goes to nowhere, then you're not holding a developer or a buyer or anybody else for the next 10 years on, and that's a discussion we have to have coming up very shortly as to how that is all going to be done, because I need to know if the city's going to need land to the north to put a turn lane in, and if that's going to take away from what I'm doing on the north side of that street. So at P and Z, I think we kind of said, why don't we just push it all south and put the sidewalk to the south to the path, and then bring it across from the roundabout. Then on the west side, then run it down Cedar Johnson when it comes in. So you have a sidewalk that comes down Cedar Johnson, hits the roundabout where the crossing should be, takes you to the path. And yeah, because the grade elevation change on some of that area is from center to low spot, from the center up by Cedar Johnson to low spot, down by the back corner of those is about a 19-foot fall right now. And so you're going to have, plus the drop off from here down, there just really isn't a feasible way. And I know I just didn't want to, I might as well just talk about it and figure it out now, because it does extend into this property.
Brought that up before, so
Yep.
I could probably. I'm over that.
We-
Sidewalks on the south side of the street, not on the north side.
We had kind of already decided that with, when we was talking it through with Worley, that would make the most sense. And, but then do you at least put them on for a crosswalk? I
It,
mean.
Right,
Yeah.
it's there.
Yeah, it's on Dawson.
I
already.
think it's there.
There's already one
ready to
there.
go,
Yeah.
yeah.
You just gotta connect to it.
Yeah.
So.
So basically from Dawson to Cedar Johnson, you're gonna have a gap of sidewalk, no sidewalk, and you'd shift it down to the south side.
Dawson coming into town, there'll be a gap on the north side.
Yes, on the north
Because
side.
there's one piece of property that's just in Dawson.
There's none on the north side anyway, is there?
It's all in the south.
That's what I meant. There would be no sidewalk on the north side.
Yeah.
And when you get to the bridge, wouldn't you have to literally put a new bridge in before you can put a sidewalk across the bridge?
No, because it would go up the street, up the school's driveway and cross and back down across the bridge. That's what's designed to do right now.
So let's just keep it all on the south side.
Do what?
I meant on the north
My
side too.
my side has been the whole time, sidewalk needs to go on the south side, and we culvert all the way down the creek. And eliminate the bridge.
That would be a 10-foot trail. Hopefully a 10-foot trail.
Which we already got part of the trail.
Anything, the city owes crosswalks at the bank. And
We built those.
We built that.
It's
Yeah.
functional. It gets used. That works.
One at Dawson.
But I wouldn't put the cross, the way this shows, it's got a crosswalk going to the west.
oh, that's just orientation.
Well, going west from this sidewalk, there should be a crosswalk because there'd be a future trail on the west side of, and there is a sidewalk on the west side of Dawson.
Dawson has sidewalks on both sides. You gotta be able to cross to the bridge.
And there's a potential trail around the detention basin. Okay, what else have we got on this development? Guess I'm fine with it.
Good. Across the street.
Yeah.
To go back the other
Yeah, go
direction.
back there. It's better than
Where you
jaywalking.
could just turn around and go back the other direction.
To the west side of the street.
Anybody, anything else?
This is just on one lot now, it isn't on all three of them.
The one thing I'll ask council is, do you want to continue that development agreement and make part of the trail continue? Because when we talked about,
Are they gonna ask you to?
because we did at least approve it in our urban renewal plan. So, and I didn't know if you still wanted them to put in part of that trail, because that would be one way we could do it.
They asked for a tip rebate.
Progressive is now, this is progressive. It's not.
Oh, okay,
Yep. So they're not gonna-
Right?
okay.
So did this shrink because of cost? I'm assuming?
Yeah.
They don't
Costs
get a
and
rebate then either.
membership. So yeah, they wouldn't get it, I guess, so.
We
There you
collect
go.
the commercial,
However,
but they
Meadows
wouldn't get
does
anything.
get benefit of the tip. Sewer.
Correct, they still get the sewer stuff. Yep, correct.
You could go a fourth on a turn lane. for,
Here, from this,
Why would these
Yeah.
people do that?
that would never happen. We'll get this project if that happens.
Sorry, got you off track. That was,
not real big on only having one handicap, but I know, I've already been told last time.
Based on square
Yeah,
footage. of the building.
But for a rehab center, one handicap,
Well, it should all be.
It could be a shoulder or something.
Okay, anything else?
If they're all going there, they don't like the regular
Go ahead, Leslie.
parking spots.
Councilperson Dean,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes,
Sexton,
Yes.
Stulman,
yes,
Goodweiler.
Yes.
All right, 2261, approving a subdividers agreement with the Meadows for the Meadows Part 5.
hmm,
we'll have to table it.
Yeah, it's not in
Yeah.
the packet.
Just know, I guess, we need to get that
Sorry about
done,
that.
so.
You guys,
I assume Chris couldn't be here tonight. I assume that we didn't get it.
okay,
in the emails.
I think it's been sent.
I haven't seen it.
I'll check my thing, because I know I did it. So, because I remember talking about the connection of regional
That's
letter,
the one that
not
connects
pay up
to
front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check it.
Just.
Yep.
It's not, we just want to make sure we start grading.
Okay.
If you got the construction specs too, then Dave would review those.
Discussing it.
I think we said
it goes now into one.
Okay, okay.
Street, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's that one, right? Yeah.
Okay, item
All the
9.
Parts get me.
put that on.
Absolutely.
I'll check in the morning for that.
Sat through a nice meeting for nothing, Brad. Don't you love it?
Think all what you learned tonight.
Item 9, direction regarding capital improvements plan.
Yeah, yep.
Who's leading the charge on this?
I-
I did not understand Maggie's chart.
It's just information. The biggest thing I think is with costs going up, I don't know where council stands on east side, if they want to do it all. And my initial estimates in December of $100 for a tax of basically $100 per a home valued at 200,000 would have to go probably twice that amount if we wanted to do east side in one big phase. Otherwise, the engineer, myself and Matt sat down and talked about if we did it in 2 phases, here's what phase 1 would be, and here's what phase 2 would be. So I guess the direction we need is either how high you're willing to go or how bad you want, however you want to phrase it, or how bad you want east side done. But it's not current projections, it's gonna be more one way or another.
2 phase would be 2 years or
It would be now or whatever, it would be the spring, whenever we can get specs done, and then it would be 27, 28 when debt expires, which could push back Cedar Johnson. So
well, what's gonna happen is the prices are gonna go up to the point where you're probably you're still gonna be paying more. Way more than it was. Might be better off to lock into the prices now. Bite the bullet now.
so it's the same bullet now versus 2 phase.
Until 8 years from now. Our taxes aren't gonna go down. So, we're just gonna have to raise them again then anyway to pay for it. Either that or some other things in our plans not gonna get done.
So we kind of looked at Cedar Johnson's 27, 28.
Correct. Assuming we could have gotten east side done in one swoop.
I'd like to get it all done. No, rock in our shoe for 50 years.
Well, I would too, but remember last time when we were talking about raising up all the things and what happens if we didn't have enough money to do all these projects, and we just said, we just won't do some of the projects.
But I don't like the timeline of phase 1 and phase 2.
No, not 8 years. So, 5 years.
If we do it in phases 1 and 2, do we still look at Cedar Johnson Road? Or is that no matter what's getting pushed?
That will depend
15
on our
years.
debt capacity. That will depend on what the costs are, and that's gonna depend on that council. It probably would not be this council deciding East Side 2 or Cedar Johnson.
What do you say?
He's saying you and I, we're out of here.
If you get reelected, then yes, you would be making that decision. But
It's the same old thing. We just keep pushing all these projects farther and farther back. The one project that I keep looking at that we don't even discuss is Main Street.
Yeah.
So all these projects are 5, 10, 15 years away, and I guarantee you Main Street's gonna need it done before that time. Now, yeah, it needs it.
The
But that's
ripple,
gonna
on-
be major.
the ripple
So
by the gazebo is horrible. And then the post office.
But see, then this is what happens. We start saying, but then we really should be doing this, and then we should be really doing that. And then before you know it, we overwhelm ourselves to where we can't do nothing. Yep. And then that's where we're at.
Well, we pretty much committed to the east side. So I guess, do we do it in 2 phases or we do it in 1?
if we do it in one, is that the only all these rest of these projects are?
no, we could still, we'd still do roundabout, would still be on there. And then we're, for the most part, the Wapsie Creek widening is being funded by the grant, and then there's an extra 300,000 that I have saved through the budget, as we kind of discussed over years, since we're phasing ourselves off of some of those backfills from the state early. I was using that money to help pay for projects, so we had more wiggle room, or we were paying less in interest.
I think you're right. Let's get it done. You're right. It's not gonna save us money. I just feel like if we wait 8 years, 5
Yeah.
years,
Do they haven't?
I don't know what to say.
When we say it's gonna charge, it's gonna cost the taxpayer roughly $100 a year.
200.
I'm assuming, yes, it'd be 200 a year if you have a $200,000 home. If it's $400,000 home, you're looking at $400 a year.
Welcome.
And I can try and update some of our future TIF money from Parkside Hills. I was very cautious in giving 45,000 in improved assessed values. So I can have Maggie readjust it. I just was using that as a last resort too, just because I know we had some general fund money issues this fiscal year, but that is an option too, but I don't know how much that's gonna cut down.
How much do
Cut
we
down some.
rely on growth? I mean, we count the chicken,
See, they-
the eggs in the basket
Yeah.
before they hatch.
yeah.
Correct. That's the risk.
Count on growth, it's providing some of the money. to-
Yeah.
for later on.
On the creek side,
That's the risk. So
right through that property.
45 I felt was very safe. Even if interest rates go up, we still would at least get a good amount of,
$200 per home doesn't bother
Unless you're in that $200,000 house and you can't hardly afford that.
Almost 3 times that for me.
We're not
Two
talking about
times
you,
that.
we're talking about somebody that's in a $200,000 house. Yeah, it's,
I don't know if the school taxes kick in. Lately.
So
What's our
$200 per
consensus, guys?
100,000.
You know,
Evaluate the
100
true value.
Basically 100 per 100.
What's it worth to you, Jody, on that east side?
Well, when my house burns down,
It's
what's it worth?
$200.
When you go homeless,
What's your recommendation?
my recommendation is do it all at one time. Get it done. Because we put it off for 50 years. And if it doesn't get done now, then the next council is gonna push back the other half and not get it done. And I'm not gonna be liable. I probably won't be here, but by that time, but I don't want to be sitting there saying, should have, we should have done it when somebody loses their house. They're not gonna lose their house because we have fire trucks out. We can pump from other hydrants. It's just bullshit when you live in town and you cannot hook to a fire hydrant to put a fire out.
One thing I would note is most of the homes in town that are at that $200,000 range
Yes,
that are gonna have the tightest budget are gonna get the direct benefit.
yes. And I'm thinking, I'm in hopes that they side with me and want their water improved to save their home. And help them out.
I don't see where we're gonna save money by doing it later. You know, I'm not excited about,
There's
not
no way. to-
excited about raising taxes.
And actually, I don't see too far in the future where Sixth Street's gonna end up, if you got a development out there at Anita Stallers. I don't see that
That's not a
Sixth,
development. That's not gonna
that's a split
be.
lot.
She was just doing that to split.
oh,
It's not.
oh,
She was just doing that to,
oh,
for far, far future.
oh. Okay.
Sixth Street can still potentially be allowed.
Dave, Matt, if we do those main street improvements on that east side, would that allow for growth? Better growth capacity on the east side?
On Sixth Street.
Correct.
Sixth Street.
Correct.
Yeah.
Tie an 8-inch and 12-inch. You got a 12-inch that's up by Cargill, so I mean, you'd have good water to that side of town, say, north of Sixth Street, Bentonville, something like that.
What would be next down College Street to find that 12-inch line?
Yeah, I mean, well, college would be done, you'd have 8-inch all the way up to college. Jump Sixth, which basically means you could fill in the other ones in the middle, which you're almost got that. Then we do the other section of Main Street, which we finished out on Main with that project we did 5 years ago. Down to the
Water Street.
One being from Fifth to the railroad right away, which is where the 12-inch runs through. That'd give you good, I mean, just that alone gives you good water volume on that side of town. So, very
Okay. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts, I'm looking way down the future, so I'm wondering how we're gonna pay for all this down the future. When we have all this other stuff we're gonna need too, so I don't know. I guess.
Roundabouts
$1 million.
could happen. Down street flooding, that's taken care of. It's this and Cedar Johnson Road.
You know, and that's the thing. The roundabout wasn't even dumped on us when we started talking about this. Roundabout got dumped on us. We had no choice. We were gonna have to do something there. So how many other things are we gonna end up having to do?
Oh, there'll be.
Maybe one here and all in one shot.
So I guess the one thing which we don't have to decide tonight is, there's other ways to go about paying for this than raising taxes. I mean, if the majority of it is water infrastructure type of things anyway, theoretically, could you raise the water bill and then use that money to pay for the water? You know, water pays for water.
It's pretty healthy right now, I think. The water.
How much would you have to raise the water bill though, to pay something like that?
That's
I
off.
have no
Really
idea.
wouldn't be as much as you think if raising the taxes $100 a year per household does it, then if you raise the water to where you could generate $100 more per house over a year's time. Not that I'm excited about raising the water, because we're holding them over a barrel with the sewer.
Just improving the sewer and water. Street, or is it just water?
There's some street,
Yeah.
and feel free to jump in, Dave, but paving for College and Orange Street. But I don't know if you want to, I'm not very familiar with the others, Dave or Matt, in terms of it's just water, just sewer.
Isn't Green Street between Fifth and Sixth also? No?
Majority of this water, there's gonna be some stuff that's incidental to it, like the storm sewer on Sixth. Well, it's not storm sewer, it's a creek that runs under Sixth. Some of that, I talked to Dave this morning about that. That'll have to have a little work to it. We did replace part of it, but it's 48-inch or something that runs all the way over to south of Maine. So some of that'll have to be replaced or fixed. It'll be kind of like that other chunk we did on College, where there's going to be some storm, some sewer that has to be fixed, just mostly as incidental stuff. It's not a big plan to do all this storm sewer and everything with it. From talking to Dave, I think it's just the blocks that we would tear up for water main that the streets would be redone. So like the east block of College and the east block of Orange would be the two blocks that would be done with street.
Not Green?
No.
Fifth to Sixth?
No.
So Sixth Street, I'm sorry. Got distracted. So would that get cut or
To put in
patched?
the main.
Yes.
Main to get moved off of the street. So when we did the Main Street project, we put in an 8-inch valve and a stick of pipe or we put a plug on the end of it on the west side of Sixth Street in preparation for doing this.
Off the trees.
There's really not as many trees on that side of the
West
street
side.
as you'd think.
Right.
Yeah. There's some, but then as it gets towards, there's some grade issues and some other stuff. And I think when it gets to College Street, it switches to the east side of the road. And there are trees on the east side of the road. So there's probably, well, there's a couple up in front of Leslie's house that are gonna have to come out anyway, because they're dying. There's an ash tree and a maple. But, yeah, you can bore a lot of that stuff. It just comes down to whether or not we decide that that's what we're gonna do. But yeah, there's really, I don't know, there's probably not 10 trees on that side of the street that'd be affected by that project when we got to that end. So, and at the other end, there's probably we've had to take, there was a lot of ash trees on that, well, not a lot, some at the south end that were already taken out, so.
We're talking about pavement or east Orange College. We're talking about pavement or sidewalks.
I believe it's just pavement, sidewalks, there's a sidewalk on East College. That would have to have some work done, but obviously there's some grade issues there that would be, we'd have to figure out how that's gonna work. Orange doesn't have sidewalks at all, I don't believe so.
Matt, I think this section was one of the first areas we did sewer rehab and point repairs, and most of the
Yeah.
sewer up in this area were already taken care of with that project. So to answer Jody's question from earlier, we really shouldn't have too much of an issue with sewer. But the extent of it would be if we have sewer services that are shallow that we encounter when we're putting the water main in, that were conflicts that we would have to repair those or possibly lower them in order to avoid issues with the water main. And then on the question with boring, we can bore segments, but we still have quite a few services we need to dig up and connect. So if we have services spaced pretty frequently, the boring starts to make less sense.
So I have a question. My sewer runs all the way from 6th Street down to 5th Street. The one right at the back of the church parking lot. Why?
Lancaster, your service,
Yeah,
probably because of elevation. Your basement's lower than, you could change that if you put a grinder pump or something in and pumped it, but then if your power goes out,
What?
you're
my sewer service.
You go across the church property.
Yeah,
it's just a grade thing, because if you go to the
Oh.
corner of Sixth and Orange, that manhole's real
Oh,
shallow.
my
also.
house. How do you-
Okay, what else?
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Say, well, we're making requests, you get 6 inch.
Biggest thing you'll
So
need
if it ever
to
breaks,
know.
it's not
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
right between. me
I
and-
just hold my breath.
We'll let you guys finish it.
No, it's not important. I was just making a joke. I was just
Sorry.
saying, can we move the 6 inch up between my yard and my neighbor? So if it ever breaks, it doesn't roll into my house.
The awkwardness is gonna be the timing of the debt, so there's a rule that hits a lot of smaller cities, that when you hit a $10 million loan, other banks will not start, I guess, guaranteeing the bond if you go for bonds after 10 million. So Maggie's doing some research, depending on if they think interest rates are gonna go up again, or depending on whether these non-guaranteed loans will be a higher yield. She's doing that research, but it may be beneficial for us to not approve a dollar amount until January of next year, if that's the best option. So once we hit that 10 million, we didn't expect that. Our underwriters that Maggie uses, normally they guarantee these debts, or they buy into these debts. Now they have a new board, they have a new director, and they're going away from it. So normally this wouldn't be an issue, but there is some timing issues that I've got to report to you guys more when Maggie does her research. So it's kind of a surprise to me to hear this, as well as Maggie, that I heard this 3 weeks ago. So she was kind of surprised with it. So I know we're on the ball for some projects to get done. That's why I've been talking with Johnson County in terms of, can they just bill us when the project is done? Because then it would be January. So if they get done that fast. So just,
Yeah. Call the DNR and tell them we can't get the money.
well, we're getting the money for the lagoon
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
It's for the CIP 5 million bond or whatever we go for.
Is that 10 million for the lagoons count against our 10 million you're talking about?
Correct, not unconstitutional debt, but for bank-backed loans, yes.
That was gonna be my question. 'Cause I think
That's-
We hit it right away now, just.
Yeah.
Passing what we voted on. earlier.
So it's a financial market thing. It's not a state or a federal law. It just, that's what banks guarantee. And if we were a bigger city, we would have our own,
I was hoping you'd tell me that. The Lagoons didn't count.
so it's outdated federal legislation. So something that from time to time when I pick on
Have you written a letter to your?
representatives, not for US but those are things that they advocate for. So sometimes when you ask what our financial partners do, they've been hounding on that rule for a long time. So I think that rule was put into place around 1986 or so. So $10 million in 1986 is what, 30 million now? So
All right, you're ready to move on? Brush pile. There's no dollar amount. Let me do that.
not asking for money, but the issue that may be a problem is public access. I don't know if you want to fill in counsel on that.
They don't want any public access.
No, I mean, just as a liability, they would prefer to not have any access by public. I did talk to him about staff being on site and he was okay with something like that, like if we had a time set up where people can come out and we're there. The other thing that I had discussed with Adam is that we used to have that bin out at the old brush pile that they would fill up with yard waste. And then that would actually get hauled down to the old sewer plant. So I don't know if that was something we could think about doing that, setting that like at the water tower or the water tower road. That's still city property. So then it doesn't put somebody else out there.
Yard waste only.
Yeah, we just put our dump trailer out there, sign it, and
Get abused.
it'll get abused. It's gonna get abused no matter where it's at. They're abusing it right now. I mean, we get garbage that they dump out there. Unless somebody's staying out there watching them, people are gonna throw stuff out.
I've seen trash at the
Yeah.
regular city brush pile for you.
Mhm.
I think direction comes with, I guess from you guys is how much public access do you want the public to have? Because if you want them to have a lot, this temporary site would not be a great fit. If you're okay with Saturday for half a day or something like that, then this site would be okay. But they're not charging us anything. It just comes down to your guys' view and how much access we should give people this.
I like that Saturday morning for 4 hours with a city employee there and they respond, they bring the stuff out and get rid of it.
It's a different city employee that makes the rounds. That be the same person.
I don't know. I
We
guess.
would
that'd
have
be-
to establish some sort of comp time,
So
so.
how's it working now? Where
Um,
we're not allowing any drop offs and you're just picking it up.
I mean, decent.
Sometimes.
Now we had somebody dump something up at the cemetery. They're dumping it in the driveway out there.
Yeah, somebody told me the other day they went down there, the whole fence was covered.
And I haven't moved it because I want them to have less area to dump, but we're getting a lot more during the pickup, the yard waste pickup. Like today, we had about as much as we've ever had in one day. So people are using it.
That's only on Mondays. you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you allow it.
It's probably,
Yeah.
like today was
Put it out there.
an extra 2-3 hours over normal.
That's where our
The
police.
the
are
rest
doing
of
their
the
job.
summer, spring, it hasn't been that bad. It's just been normal.
Yeah. We can't patrol everything.
There's two big trailer pulls up.
But we can't figure, I mean, not every city does this.
So I originally thought like what Tom was saying about somebody going out on the weekend. My only issue with that is either giving up an employee for half a day or giving them time for a half a day. Or, I mean, and asking guys to work a weekend because they're already on call for the weekend.
So-
There's a guy for half a day.
Yes. One, or we pay them overtime. Or you figure something else out. That's the only issue with it.
So, let me ask you this, on Mondays, when you guys go out and pick up yard waste, how much time do you spend doing that?
Today it was probably 6 hours. This has been the heaviest, yes,
That's 12 hours.
yes. This has been the heaviest day though. Normally they're done by 10 o'clock, like 3 hours maybe put into it, so 6. So sometimes if it's real light, we'll send one guy, but there's a lot of times it
Where are
takes
you,
2
where are you
guys.
taking it now? To go in
We're
the-
taking it to the water tower. And we're just piling it up there and we don't really let anybody take anything up there because at some point we're gonna either have to stir it up and spread it around or haul it off or something, so. Yeah, I mean, we could do it a bunch of different, we could do it. If we wanted to let people bring bigger loads out and set up appointments with them to bring out whole trees or, because I think that's.
I'm against this whole tree stuff.
Yeah.
That was not the purpose of that brush pile.
But that's how it's been used.
Well,
All trees
you
and
know,
brush.
a
Yeah.
contractor has a chipper and he uses that chipper. And if he takes those chips out to our dump pile and dumps it, he'll turn around and charge a tipping fee to the consumer. And that was, you know, I was on the council when we started this and the whole reason was that we banned burning of leaves and sticks in the city. And we said, well, we need a place that they can take their sticks and leaves, not trees.
So if a homeowner takes one down though, I mean,
Well, does he chip it?
no.
Well, there you go. We pay for it. How much did you spend in chipping last year?
Probably around 18, because it was like,
I thought it was close to 60.
Yeah.
how much?
I thought it was like 54,000.
Oh, because we had the one year we had the derecho, so it was a
Okay,
bigger,
okay.
yeah, in a normal year, it's gonna be around 15, 16,000 in a normal year.
How much was when you used to do throw it in a bin and have it hauled off? That was a roll off, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that was just a roll off that Johnson County let us use and they put a top on it and then they hauled it down. We didn't pay to haul it away. They actually took it and dumped it at our old wastewater plant down there. And then that was just yard waste. So, and that actually worked decent for how it, at the time, what they were doing. That's why I thought maybe it'd work for this, for people to throw their yard waste in. If we wanted to set up appointments to get people's trees or bigger brush.
I'm trying to think of how we can do this as a city and not involve employees
Oh,
8 to 10 hours a week, man, or 20 hours a week to man this thing. Let the public do their own hauling and would save you a lot of time.
yeah. The yard waste pickup though, I think is something that a lot of older people use and would be hard to get them to just haul their own out there. Those are the ones that it's helped a lot as older people. It's not, I mean, younger people use it, but it's generally the older public that are using it. There's just way more. It's a nice.
Is more,
it's
is
a
it way
nice
more as in
weekend.
like sticks, or is it way more as in like
There's more
somebody's putting logs out?
No, more people used it because it was a nicer weekend, so you
I
can,
haven't
you can-
trimmed my trees yet this year. So that will be logs.
and it
that I will
goes
be putting
through,
By the curb.
it kind of goes through phases, like right now, from now until the end of June is gonna be kind of heavy, and then July, August, September won't be that much, and then October it'll be heavy again.
I like the dumpster where they just bring it on.
No, I would. I'll take them.
Whether you
So whenever you cut them.
designate an area and it's open certain hours of the day, you can do that. It's got a gate that's closed. After that, something you can, whether it's your dumpster or if we get roll-off dumpsters. I don't know.
Okay, so.
I mean,
this-
that would keep us from coming in on the weekend and keep it on city property and it'd keep it accessible. And if somebody had something bigger, it'd still be, we've done it since I've been here that we'll set up if somebody needs help with some bigger brush or whatever, we'll help them out and pick it up with the skid loader or whatever. And throw it
And you
in
could-
the trailer.
I guess you could, open the gate up at 5 o'clock and you can stay open all night. You're not gonna have anybody hauling it after dark, I would assume. You close it back up
That's
and
when the
then
logs show up.
Yep.
That's when the trees show up. After
That's
dark.
The mattresses.
But the ones in the cemetery came in the middle of the day the other day, so it doesn't.
So this agreement is for the Bacchus site.
Right, and this basically would give us a place to put anything that we need to haul out, like I said, there's some trees we need to take out.
Why can't we do this at the water tower?
There's just not very much room to do it. And if we did that, then it all has to be, at some point, we're gonna have to haul it back off site, because that's our only place to dump dirt, concrete.
Caterpillar in there.
Oh, yeah, we
Push
can.
some of that out
Yep.
and make it straw.
I mean, we grade the whole thing off and use that area. It's just that then we don't have a spot to dump concrete or anything else.
We wouldn't need that whole area. But if we banned logs, trees, and made it yard waste only.
No, if it was yard waste, no, you'd be able to use that. Yeah.
Yes, there's probably never a perfect solution. I
Yeah.
guess the way I see it, thinking outside in, we're possibly talking tax increase. I probably hit the city harder than it's ever been hit on nuisances, and now we're taking away this benefit. I just kind of worry on this one, and I know it stinks on you guys and it stinks on Leslie to have it up at City Hall when we get the complaints, but I wonder if it's in the best interest of the community to have something a little bit easier accessible. We may have to deal with a little bit, and I don't like it at all. It drives me nuts that people think they can dump certain things, but it's not, it's 5% that are misusing it. Probably not 95 or whatever. So I guess that's just my thought when I'm thinking about if I'm an everyday resident.
Are you advocating for or against the Bacchus site?
I'm advocating for public access. So,
What's the Bacchus stance issue?
They, for liability purposes, they don't want people running around the property.
So we'd be looking at the water tower.
Or
Is there no
Or
way
4
access
hours.
to get back to that 10 acres that we bought for the sewer?
no, and they're gonna be, the first thing they're gonna do is start putting dirt on that. And then they're gonna be working in that
There's no
area.
way you could get back there and start stockpiling that.
Once they start cutting the grade in there, it'll be impossible pretty much to get back there.
Water tower property too.
Does
that-
anybody belong to the
I think it's
Masonic
down.
Temple?
I don't know.
I
Chuck
know a
Ford
couple
does.
people, I know a couple of people that are. I'm not
Because-
one of them, but I know a couple of people who are.
There's a lot of room up there. I'm not saying, I don't know, that, there's,
All right,
I
so,
don't know.
Jesus, this is taking more time than.
it's fair. It's probably the most complaints we get are
Yeah.
brush piles. So it's fair to what people want. So,
So our real decision is, do we agree to this agreement?
it's, do you want someone on site, say on a Saturday to watch
I'd be
over?
all for Saturday.
Or,
Well, could we agree to this agreement and we could put our stuff there? And then if we end up wanting to have people, then at least we leave it open. We can either do that at the water tower or we could do it here with supervision, but instead of using all of the water tower area for even our stuff that we go pick up on Mondays, why don't we agree to the Blockenstedt place? And we'll at least dump our stuff we pick up on Mondays there to relieve the pressure off of the water tower area. It's not gonna cost us anything anyway.
Well, it said no, no.
Are they-
No,
They-
they can
no.
have.
Have they agreed, like I said, have they agreed that they would grind up whatever we got there?
Yep.
So the
Well,
cost is-
what he said was he'd like us to hire him to do it at the end. So, so it's one of, I mean, he has the equipment.
Yeah.
We've looked at using him before. We just had never used him because we.
So are we paying for the driveway construction?
That would be the thing we'd have to pay for. Yep. So putting a pipe in, that I don't know.
They're not putting driveways in for the concrete plant?
Yeah, but those
They're
are,
already-
they're already in place. This will be off.
Yeah. Awesome. This would be off of Downing Road, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's a deep ditch. Going down there by
It's a real
US.
deep ditch. I've fallen down there.
Well, it's just a culvert. We got a bunch of old salty dirt.
It's a big water tower.
They might have dirt on site too that they could.
All right, so this is just a review of this thing?
Yeah.
So ultimately, we have to approve this as a resolution.
We would, yeah.
If you want this.
We wanted your initial gut reactions first before we went any further. We just wanted your guys' role of what we should be doing.
So it is gonna cost us.
So.
Yeah.
Let's say yard waste, which is flowers,
Grass clippings,
grass
leaves.
clippings, that kind of stuff. Assuming that all gets mixed in when you're grinding. Or you try to, I know you try to.
We try to keep it separate, yeah.
I do like Colton's idea of let's use it for our own. But I still think we need a place for the public to be able to dump their stuff.
For the
Whether
amount of
that's-
money it costs to put in a driveway, it could be great,
Yeah, you could.
it'd be great, water tower.
Yeah.
And he still has nowhere to put it.
I'm not against doing that at all. I just want to make sure everyone knows that at the end, that might have to be hauled off of there. Or
Wouldn't have to get a haul off from Bockenstedt.
no, because it would stay there and he'd
They
use
want
it
it?
for the.
That's what it
Yeah, it says
erosion
that
control.
all waste
They
shall
want it.
remain.
Because he'll mulch it up and then put it around the base of for the erosion control or for in place of silt.
says.
So-
So much he's gonna get.
So why couldn't we do public up at the water tower and do our own down in Bockenstead?
You could, I mean, the amount that's being dumped,
The possibility would
Out
be
there
that
right
we
now
wouldn't have to
is-
haul anything off the water tower. And what we put down, what the city puts down there,
Stays there.
Bockenstead would stay,
right?
so.
Then truth be told, during slow times or something like that, and if we're gonna have to remove the stuff from the water tower anyway, could we just load that crap up and take it over to Bockensted's and dump it? I don't know what you're laughing for.
Could, but
I mean, the tree stuff, you definitely could, if we'd separated it to where it could be ground over there, because it's gonna be stupid to have it ground at the water tower and on Bockensted's.
you can grind it and load it all at the same time.
Well,
You don't have to load it.
but you gotta move the equipment, and the equipment moving it is a bigger, I mean, not the biggest expense, but it's a big expense just because.
Why
But-
can't we use the cemetery? The back up there by where your sheds are,
Those roads.
huh?
Well, there'd be a lot of people driving in there then. We already have issues with people going in there that shouldn't really be in there, I guess. I mean, driving around in spots where they shouldn't be. You get-
Seriously?
Yeah, if you get people in there with trailers, you're probably gonna have some stones run over.
Yeah, trying to back up, turn around, back up.
Or they'll drive out across the grass and tear stuff up.
You're talking a
All right,
funeral
so-
or something.
Yeah.
Kind of seeing that maybe we should probably agree to this agreement. And figure out the best way to use it. And then
What's it
figure out-
gonna
and figure out
cost
how
to put a
use it the best.
driveway in?
It's not gonna cost us anything except for the driveway.
What happens in other.
What's that
Yeah,
thing?
which is
That
how much?
What does Tipton do?
piece
Put a
of
driveway
culvert and a
in?
Bunch of
A
dirt.
lot of towns don't have a public drop-off area. They either use the yard waste pickup or Tipton, I think, charges to come pick up
stuff or
No?
that's just kind of how it is.
Burn in town on certain things.
Yeah. Just everybody has a little different way of doing it,
You put
but
a culvert in that you can reuse, 'cause it's only temporary.
Still less than.
Like one day a week, like on Wednesdays or something. During certain times of year.
Take something. Okay. I think we're leaning toward agreeing to this.
We'll talk further.
That's kinda what I'm- All right, city administrator report.
I'm good. The only thing, I guess, maybe I don't know how far you've gotten, because council last time you were gone asked about Gaskell's.
So I've got the condemnation application pretty much written, so got one more thing to do with them and I will get it on file. And then we have some other easements we have to get from other property owners. We'll do that at the same time and hopefully we can match those up so that they all work at the same time, so.
What do you got? Anything else?
I was just working on, we'll have the Kroll agreement for next time and I got a schedule and a map for phasing and I'll show that to Adam here.
Okay.
So that we have with completion dates on each
Oh.
phase, so,
Roll side?
so. That's all I've been working on then, other than the gas.
Dave, city engineer Dave, you got anything?
Yeah, I have a few things for you this evening. Wastewater plant project. We met with the contractor on Friday. They've been having some issues with some staff changes. They indicated they're going to have to do a little bit of internal reorganization in order to try to figure out a schedule for us on the wastewater plant. I'm planning to meet with the owner of the company tomorrow to get a little bit better direct line of communication with him to see if we can't get this worked out sooner than later. East side water main, as you discussed tonight, we looked at a couple of different phases. We have some preliminary plans that we put together for what we thought was phase one. We'll do the same for the next phase and try to get an updated cost estimate and get that project moving along here pretty quickly. Herbert Hoover Roundabout, we've been working with the county back and forth, plan reviews on the preliminary plans, and have been making some changes to reduce costs, pull out some intakes, shorten the water main routing, reduce the impact to adjacent properties and so forth. So that's going pretty well. I believe they've also made contact with some of the adjacent property owners now to get them some information. So that one is starting to move pretty quickly. Hopefully we'll get through this next round of edits and revisions either later this week or early next week and have those plans pretty close where council can take a look at them. We received some plans late last week for Meadows Part 5. They're preliminary. We're still waiting for some stormwater calcs, but I'm in the process of reviewing those plans. Wapsie Creek widening, impact 7G is done with the stream assessment and the archaeology. They have wetlands delineation to do yet, and they're going to try to get that down here in the next couple of weeks. Once they have that completed, we should be able to start working on their part of the channel improvements and get that worked into the flood protection design. Otherwise, we've been working on site plans, quite a few residential lot site plans that have been coming in, and then also meeting with a few developers to discuss some things that they're looking to do. So that's what I have.
The roundabout project, we have two property owners we discuss.
Yes, we'll have to talk with KLM, and Chad has expressed interest in that, as he noted tonight. So I spoke with Adam this afternoon to see if maybe next week we could sit down with that group as well as with the school to talk about things on our side of the intersection and try to get everybody in agreement as far as the nuances of the project, any minor adjustments we want to make or considerations and so forth. We have been in contact with the utility companies, and I do need to follow up with Liberty potential for not impacting their telecommunication lines in the ditch, but the intersection where we're going to have the roundabout, they have some boxes that we'll need to have relocated.
All right, thank you. City staff, anyone online? Swisher's still hanging on. Hi, Pete. Mayor and council.
Hi.
I have nothing. He said hi.
I would like to have you look at what it would water rates, if we did water rates for the east side.
You do.
Just don't spend a lot of time on it. I just kind of interested.
I noticed something on the claims and then you moved on faster than normal and then.
Wow.
um,
Go ahead.
So, well, I know that, I just still want to answer. So there was two games, there was a girl umpire and a boy umpire, both umpired 8 games.
It's a joke.
No, close enough. And the guy umpire got paid more than the girl umpire. You know, if they both umpired 8 games, how come one got paid more than the other?
The guy was at a higher level. He was at the 11 and 12-year-old, and the girl was at the more level.
I'm pretty sure, if I recall, there's a difference in years of officiating too. I will double check and get back in
Okay.
touch with you.
No, it was
I will,
Coleman was the,
I'll give you an
and
answer.
Sasha was the girl.
I know, I used to do that once in a while, you get more for the older.
Because the parents are worse.
Yeah.
Well, you
No,
you do
age
more.
does not matter. for
Age does
parents,
not
trust
matter.
me.
No, Parents are just as bad as little ones. They're almost worse.
They are worse.
Like, the worse the players are at the game, the worse the parents are. Depending on if their child is better or more along than some of the other ones, yeah.
They're gonna get a college education by going through Pee Wee.
Starting out of Pee Wee.
And he'll never ump again.
All right, anybody, anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.